Hello and welcome once more to VG Trader, and yeah, the second episode in our show, Which Video Games Will Make You Rich? Yeah? Obviously it's only the second episode, so you know, at the moment I haven't got my own helicopter pad. No, I have to make do with my own sort of, you know, space station and railway station and a ferry port, which obviously I've got out there in the back garden, so I'm sort of slumming it at the moment. But obviously that is for a very, very brief period, because today we're going to talk about some more games that, you know, at the moment, might not be worth a huge amount of money, but in 10 years' time could be worth an absolute fortune. And also one or two games that didn't really come out very long ago that are actually already worth quite a lot of money, and in 10 years' time they're going to be worth, I don't know if you could call it a double fortune, but a huge amount of money. Let's get down to business. And our first game, which to be honest isn't a game at all, it's actually a huge library of games, a compendium of games, a plethora of games if you will. If you know what plethora means, it just means a lot of games. And a lot of games on just one disc. And that disc is for the Xbox One. And this game is called Rare Replay. Now, Rare Replay is basically a series of 30 games developed by the UK developer Rare. And it's their anniversary, so, you know, they've put this compendium together. It contains some of the biggest games, really, from my life, I guess. There's a few games that are missing that they've made. In fact, my favourite game, or one of my favourite games of all time, isn't on there, which is a bit upsetting, but it is a James Bond game, and that was GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64. I wasted countless hours, weeks, years of my life playing GoldenEye on a small 14-inch television split 4 ways, because obviously it was before multiplayer, so you'd play like that with, you know, free mates if you had free mates. Or obviously you'd just play in one corner on your own trying to make out you had mates. It made multiplayer a lot easier. But anyway, yeah, I'd spend countless hours playing that and, you know, blowing each other up with proximity mines. It was great. But sadly, it's not on this compendium. Another game that's not on this compendium is the Donkey Kong games for the Nintendo. And they were amazing as well. And they were developed by Rare, but sadly, once again, due to licensing issues, they're not on here. But there is 30 different games that are on here, so let me list them. Battletoads, Banjo-Kazooie, Perfect Dark, Conker's Bad Fur Day, Cameo, Elements of Power, Killer Instinct Gold, Jet Force Gemini, Blast Corps, and Viva Pinata, Banjo-Tooie, and Attic Attack, Battletoads Arcade, Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, Jetpack, and Grabbed by the Goonies, Perfect Dark Zero, Saberwolf, Cobra Triangle, Nightlore, Gunfright, and Slalom, Viva Pinata, Trouble in Paradise, RC Pro-Am, Jetpack Refueled, Digger T-Rock, Snake Rattle and Roll, Lunar Jetman, Solar Jetman, Hunt for the Golden Warship, RC Pro-Am 2, and finally, Underworld. Yeah, that's a lot of games. Now, as you can see from that list, Rare is one of the hugest, most important developers of the last sort of 10, 20, 30, 700 years. And of course, I never exaggerate. This is one of the best collections ever released on a disc. Admittedly, it's for the Xbox One. Sorry, Xbox One users, but I'm just being honest. There's not a lot of you, so who can I offend? Well, apart from you. You there in the corner, yes. You with your little pointy little eyes, yes. And cross-eyed lady. Anyway, enough of insulting the only 2 Xbox One users in the world. Let's talk about how much this game is at the moment. Now, Rare Replay, if you buy it in the US at the moment, you can get it brand new, still in the cellophane, for about $15. Great deal. And in the UK, you can get it in certain shops, because there's a lot of deals going on at the moment, for about 14 quid, which is absolutely brilliant, still in the cellophane. And remember, with games, keep them in the cellophane if you're not planning on playing them, because they rocket in value. But what about used copies? Well, you can get a used copy of Rare Replay for about $14 in America, and in Britain you can pick it up for about 8 quid, which is an absolute steal, isn't it? But what is it going to be worth in the dark recesses of the future? Well, I predict that a mint US copy of this in 10 years' time will be worth at least $45, and the UK version for mint copy, probably about 40 quid. So still quite a good pickup. As for the used one, I'd say about $25 in America and about 18 quid in Britain. So, you know, it's going to go up a little bit, but I don't reckon it's going to go up a huge amount for a few reasons. One of the biggest being that the Xbox One just isn't that popular a console yet. And it's actually quite a good console. And I have played on it. You know, I've been very mean to you, Xbox One user. But I have played on it. And actually, my sister's boyfriend's got an Xbox One. He loves playing multiplayer on his own. But yeah, I had a go on it. It's a great console. Right, let's move on to the next game I want to talk about. And it's not an Xbox One game, it's actually a Wii game. And yeah, it's called Little King's Story. That's Little King's Story. And what it's about, funnily enough, is a little king. Yes, you play the part of a little king. And you have to go round and, you know, you dig holes, you get followers and they plant things and your kingdom grows. You start with hardly any followers and before you know it, you've got thousands of followers. And, you know, you can build different buildings and you get more powerful and you get money and blah, blah, blah. And actually, it's one of the best games that was ever released on the Wii. But again, didn't sell a huge amount for some bizarre reason. I think it's because the Wii was very popular with a family audience. And yeah, these games didn't really sell very well, but now people have realised it's actually quite a good game, but it's actually quite hard to find because there's not that many copies out there because it, you know, wasn't reprinted a lot. So, what's it worth? Well, a mint condition copy at the moment in America is about $26 if you can find one, and it's only about £11 in the UK, so that's pretty good. As for used ones, sadly the American one is only a couple of dollars cheaper, it's about $24. But in the UK, you can pick it up for £2.50, which is brilliant because this is one of the best games that ever came out on the Wii. So, what do we predict it's going to be worth in 10 years' time? Well, personally, I think this one's going to absolutely skyrocket in value because I know a lot of collectors and a lot of collectors are trying to pick this up at the moment. And you can still find it quite cheaply, but as I said, hard to find. So, in America, I reckon it's going to be worth about $50. And in the UK, probably about $45 for a mint condition copy. As for a used one, in America I think it's going to be worth about $30 and in the UK probably about 18 quid. So, you know, this is one to invest in if you can get it cheap. Right, on to the third game today, and I have to be honest, this is probably one of my favourite games of the last 5 years. And this game is South Park: The Stick of Truth. I don't know if you're a fan of South Park or not, and it's one of those sort of hit and miss things. People either love it or hate it. But if you do love it, you will love South Park: The Stick of Truth, because it's kind of like a role-play game, sort of turn-based kind of thing, but set in the South Park world. And the graphics for this game are absolutely amazing. It came out on the Xbox 360 and the PS3. Both copies look absolutely amazing. They look like the TV show. But it came out towards the end of sort of the Xbox 360 PS3's life. Yeah, once again, not many people bought it. And once again, people have started to realise it's a really good game. And once again, people now want to buy it. That creates demand and the supply is small, which means in price. So how much is this game going for at the moment? Well, if you're in America, you're in luck because there seems to be a lot more copies. I don't know if it's because it's an American show and they printed a lot more over there, but at the moment you can get a sealed copy of this for about $15, which is absolutely amazing. Sadly in the UK, we're not quite so lucky. If you want a brand new copy of this, it's going to cost you about 30 quid, which sounds a lot, but if you bear in mind that most new games are sort of 30 to 50 quid, not bad at all really, is it? But if you want to pick up a used copy, which I personally tend to try to do rather than new ones, at the moment in America you can pick one up for about $9. But in Britain, you're in slightly better luck actually, because you can pick it up for about 6 quid at the moment, because a lot of the game shops still have quite a few copies that have been traded in, and not many people are buying PS3 or Xbox 360 games. So you can find it, and you can find it quite cheap. So, what about in 10 years' time? What is the South Park Stick of Truth actually going to be worth? Well, we predict that in America, a mint condition copy of this is going to be worth at least $80 because it's a cult game, it's a good game, and it's from a cult show, which is a great show, which has got a lot of followers who are one day going to want to pick up a copy of this. Nostalgia is a great selling point. As for a UK mint condition copy, I think it's still going to be worth at least about 65 quid. So what about used copies? Well, in America, I think it's going to go up to about $45. And in the UK, it's probably going to go up to about 40 quid. So, you know, you're going to make a good little profit on this one. Let me just say one other additional note about South Park: The Stick of Truth. Now, there is a special edition copy of this, and it's called the Grand Wizard Edition. Now, I'm not going to go into the price of it, because to be honest, the price of it is already off the scale, and actually, it's very, very hard to get a copy of. If you do get a copy of it, you're very lucky, because it's already in the hundreds in the UK, and that's for a used one. And yeah, it's already into the hundreds of dollars in America for a used one. For a mint condition copy, it's gone crazy. You know, it's going to be hitting $200 soon. And yeah, if you want to know what's inside the special edition copy, well, you get a little plush cuddly toy version of Cartman dressed as the Grand Wizard. You get a little map of South Park, which is sort of hand-drawn by Cartman, apparently. And I think you get some extra sort of downloadable characters and things like that. So, pretty good. You're wondering what that is? That's my cat. Yes, she's a show stealer, alright, isn't she? Sorry about that. You'll probably see her again in a minute. She's called Pepsi, don't ask me why. When she's quite finished stealing the show, let's move on to the next game. And my final game today is a biggie. And by biggie, this one is not only going to cost you a fortune, but it's also going to make you a fortune. Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn. And it's out on the Nintendo Wii, or it was out on the Nintendo Wii. What is Radiant Dawn? I don't hear you ask. Well, it's a sort of JRPG. I hate the abbreviation JRPG because it's really hard to say, and to be honest, Japanese roleplay game is actually easier to say than JRPG. I get really tongue-tied. It came out on the Nintendo Wii. It's quite strategic. I think it's turn-based. I haven't played it, but I think it's turn-based. And yeah, it's supposed to be absolutely amazing. So if you want to take a look at it, look up here, down there, or sideways, wherever it turns up. The most collectible games are Japanese roleplay games, fighting games, and survival horror games. All of those incredibly collectible. This one is particularly good, so it makes it even more collectible. So, how much is Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn actually going for at the moment? I said this one was expensive, and I wasn't lying. In America, at the moment, the cheapest you'll probably get a mint condition sealed copy of Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn is about $75. If you're lucky enough to find it for that price, because it's going for a lot higher in certain places. In Britain, the cheapest you'll get it is about, probably about 80 quid for a mint condition copy. I'll buy it second hand. I don't hear you say either. Well, you could try and buy it second hand, but in America, at the moment, a used copy of this is going for about $68, which is still more than it cost when it originally came out. As for a British copy, it's going for about 45 quid. So again, still pretty expensive for a used game. So, how much is this one going to be worth in 10 years' time? It's going to be worth at least, and I'm not exaggerating because this one is, I don't think it's even going to take 10 years, to be honest. The way this game is going up, it could be in the next year or two. And I reckon it's going to be worth at least $180. I know. Ridiculous! Ridiculous! It's ridiculous! It's a lot of money. It's going to be worth at least $180 because this has got a massive cult following. It's a really good game. It's a really popular game. It's a JRPG, as I've already mentioned. It's going to be worth a lot of money. So about $180 for a mint condition copy. But in the UK, still a lot of money. I reckon a mint condition copy of this in the UK is probably still going to be about $160. So even though it's a lot of money at the moment to buy mint condition, it's gonna, it's still going to be a huge amount of money. So, what about a used copy, you never asked? In America, I still think a used copy is going to go up to at least $130, and that's me being conservative, because I've actually seen it for sale. One dealer on eBay is actually trying to get $130 for this already. I know, they haven't sold it. But it is heading that way, and it's only a matter of time before, you know, a used copy of this goes for about $130. As for the UK price, I think at least, and this is at least, $120. I'm saying at least, and normally I'm a bit more exact, but with this game, it's just gone absolutely crazy. So if you can get a copy of this cheap, pick it up. Because if you don't pick it up, well, you're going to lose out on, well, firstly, a great game, and also, once you've played it, a great game that could make you a great amount of money. Anyway, that's all from me today. Join me again next week for another exciting episode of Which Games Will Make You Rich, only on VG Trader. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like to subscribe. Cheers, bye.